Howdy Aggies, welcome back to Deep Dive Aggieland. Episode 1 did pretty well considering it was our first time, so we just wanted to thank you all for that and get right back into this. I'm your host, Cade Martinez, and I'm joined today by
Max Lurie.
And today we wanted to welcome a local A&M celebrity, the Texas A&M TAMU Banana. If you tune into any sports events or games, you're going to see him on the TV. And we're really excited to have him on. And in today's episode, we're honestly just going to ask him a few questions about where the banana idea originated from and talk about some sports. So, firstly, I think that we need to regard the questions that everyone's asking.
For sure.
Where did the banana first originate from?
I love this as the first question because it's a weird story. There's like two births of like the whole banana account. It first started like in 2021, my freshman year, so kind of like everyone here. I got kind of intoxicated, and my Halloween costume was a banana. I was like, it'd be really funny if I just went to a football game as a banana suit, and really intoxicated. Somehow went from the top of the third deck, but right under the jumbotron to the very front row of the first deck. Don't know how it happened. It just teleported. I don't know. But it originally started there, and then it kind of just stopped just because Halloween ended. But for my latter half of the junior year, I decided to bring it back, go to sporting events, because I already go to a bunch of them. I'm very red ass, I guess. And then it just kind of spiraled into what it is now, where I go to every game in a banana suit. I'm recognized every game, take pictures with people. It's very awesome.
Is there a reason you would pick the banana specifically?
I think I was the first thing I saw in the Halloween store, to be honest. But I guess the right answer is it's very bright. You can see it. You can pick it out of anywhere. So, but no, I just randomly grabbed it. I thought it was funny.
And you talked about that first game you went to. Do you remember who that was against?
It was against Miami. I believe it was my first picture on that account was me with a pose with a Miami mascot. But yeah, I was with Miami. I think we won that game barely. But that's what it was.
Was it the one where we won by 2 points?
I think so.
I remember.
I think so.
Do you remember the initial reactions you got from the crowd and the fans?
It was very just people were questioning it. It was very everyone was puzzled, just why is he here, But again, I was just drunk, just confidence, just put on a suit. One thing about the banana suit, the confidence that comes with it, it's kind of like the Mamba effect,
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he was a great person, but as soon as he got in that Mamba mentality, it was just a different player beyond everyone else. Exactly. Kind of like the banana. I'm definitely not dangerous in the banana suit, but putting it up, right? Putting it on, I definitely have a bunch of confidence now. But bringing it back, when I first decided to bring it back, I went to a basketball game. It was December or something like that. I was you know what? I was sitting in my room, not doing anything, just with my roommate. I was I need to go out more. I need to get more friends. And I was definitely alone, and I just wanted to put myself out there more. So decided to put on a suit and just go to games. And over time, more people approached me, got a bunch of great friends to join me with games, and it's been amazing. Yeah.
Just a quick question on that. So just something I've always wondered, because you put on that banana, so you became the Banana Man, right? So I've always wondered, part of the reason why I chose A&M was because, I'm Jewish, I feel very connected to Judaism, and in other schools, that's not necessarily a good thing. You get attacked for that, right? So that's why I'm glad to be here where people are, they're calm, they respect you for who you are, that's really it. So when I see something like that happening on another campus, Jews being attacked for being Jews, it offends me. So I'm wondering, when you see someone peeling a banana and eating it, how do you feel?
Offended, that's my children,
Yeah,
it sucks.
Like almost a racism.
It's funny. I have a few pictures on my profile. I'm just eating a banana, so I can't say too much.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, shout out to my boy Nana, my child. It happens,
Yeah.
I see all my children in the grocery stores. I went to Walmart today actually, and I was just I need to get some more children, so I just picked them up.
So you're an adoption kind of family.
I guess so, in a weird way, sure.
That's really beautiful. The foster system is not great, especially for fruits. They get taken into homes and then they're either left to rot or they're eaten. So I think it's a really good thing.
Right. Yeah, they have a nice lifespan of about 2 weeks, and then they're rotten. So
Beautiful thing you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you brought that up. Just kind of like Judaism and stuff like that. I feel like Texas A&M is like the school to go to if you don't want to get judged by other people.
For sure.
Just because we have so many students, around like 70,000. Is that right?
I think it's like 80,000, closer to that.
Dang, even more than I thought. Like,
Yeah, there's
I mean,
something for everyone.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like even like in the banana suit, like people are just like, oh, it's him. You know, it's just kind of like you don't get judged too much. Even like
It's the
like-
love. It's the Aggie spirit.
exactly. I think everyone's
It's
very
not cheesy, but
accepting.
From like an out of state perspective, it's real.
Yeah, it really is real.
The Aggie love is real.
No, for sure. Especially when you get the Aggie ring, which I'm getting pretty soon. Pretty excited
Congrats.
about. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You can put it on like right there on your finger.
Sure, right there. Why not?
That'd be it.
Hope it doesn't fly off when I'm dancing or whatever. But
You know, kind of trailing back to what you said earlier, you know, you said like all these people always coming up to you, recognizing you. I was just wondering, how does it feel to kind of be like that local icon that people just always kind of recognize?
yeah, I mean, it's very heartwarming. Like growing up, I definitely didn't have as many friends as I do now. It's kind of tough to talk about just because like, you know, I was just like that outcast no one really talked to. Going to college, like even in high school, like I had a small friend group. But going to college, I was like, you know, I need to change. And it wasn't until like the end of my junior year, I was like, you know, just do something, you know. But yeah, just being able to be like taking pictures with people that I don't know and just like having conversations like I am like right now with y'all. It's really heartwarming, you know. It's fantastic. It's a great feeling. I love to communicate and just connect with people, you know, build relationships. So it's amazing.
And so seeing how football season is coming up, I just kind of wanted to take a little time to kind of debate over some topics about A&M's upcoming season.
Sure.
So first I want to take a look at the schedule. So we host Notre Dame, then McNeese, and then we have away at Florida, and then we host Bowling Green, then Arkansas, then Missouri, then we're away at Mississippi State, and then we host LSU, then we're away at South Carolina, then we host New Mexico State, and then we're away at Auburn again, and we finish it off with Texas at home. So with that being said, who do y'all think our biggest opponents, that biggest game is going to be this year, and why?
I think it's going to be, you know, the Demons in orange, right? I think they're the toughest. Unfortunately, they're the toughest and probably biggest game just because they're our main rival. I can't see anyone being harder than that.
Yeah, no, he's speaking facts. I mean, it's really weird with football just because we have a new head coach. We have some returning players and some transfers. So it's hard to predict where we're going to be at because I've seen ceilings as high as 12-0. Do I think I'm going to hit that? Probably not. I've seen as low as 7-5. So it's really tough because that's a big range, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's bowl or championship to barely hitting bowl. So it's hard to predict, but I definitely think that Texas is it's going to be a tough game. I'm really excited to watch South Carolina too. Have some beef with them actually if you want to talk about that.
I think I might have to disagree with you on that one. I think Notre Dame is going to be a tough game just because when it's your first game of the season, that's not when you're playing at your best. I mean, it's called mid-season form for a reason.
But it's their first game too, though. That's the thing.
But I
So
still
the
think it's going to be
playing field is
tough.
level.
I mean, they're going to be a top 10 team for sure. And just that's a tough game. Usually your first game of the season, it's usually a blow-off game. I mean, for
That's
most
true.
teams it
That's
is.
true.
I mean, when you have college game day coming to your first game of the season, that's a lot of pressure on a team, especially with a brand new head coach and a lot of young talent. I just
But
don't know.
what like football culture takes pressure better than this school? I mean, we have, according to some people, the hardest place to play in college football, right? I mean, without a doubt, we're going to have an insane atmosphere that first game.
Don't get me wrong. Texas is going to be a great game. It's going to be a hard game.
Yeah.
But at that point, our fates are going to kind of be sealed already. Like, there's either going to be a good chance we make the playoff or we don't. For Notre Dame, I feel like this could make or break our season.
That's true, but playoff or not, just because it's Texas, we're going to be going all out.
I'm talking about, like, stakes wise. Like, what will be the biggest game?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you with that, where you're coming from. I don't know if many people know this, but we have not had a college game day in 4 years. So this is our students' first time.
Did we not have one in Bama, A&M 20?
Not here, I don't think. I think it was someone else.
Was? Are you serious?
I think so. Could be wrong. Fact check me. But like this is our students' first time having a college game day. So the atmosphere is definitely be like something they're not used to, even though they're in the 12th man, they're in the Kyle Field.
Yeah.
That kind of pressure is really going to define their season for sure. I kind of understand where you're coming from.
And just the expectations for this year just put so much pressure on this young coaching staff and this young team overall. You just don't know how they're going to handle it yet.
When you say hardest game, are you talking about like the opponent's strength, or just like from a situational standpoint, how tough it's going to be to win?
Well, it's kind of a mixture of both.
Okay.
Because when you put stakes into it, that makes it harder to win it.
In that case, I can agree with you, but I still think that you're not considering the fact that a huge rivalry like Texas is stakes. Like if we had, I don't know, you know the little game Spike Ball that people play on the beach?
Yeah.
Okay, if we somehow had a Spike Ball game against Texas with a total of 4 people, even the stakes for that would be high, just because it's Texas, right? Like, I kid you not, people would probably show up for that just because of like our pure hatred for Texas, right? So I think that, like, with all due respect, you're not considering that. You're not considering that it's Texas.
Don't get me wrong, Texas is going to be a huge game.
And they suck.
It's going to be one of the biggest games in Texas A&M football history, probably, just because we haven't played in almost 15 years, I think. That's going to be a big game. I feel like we have a very tough first game of this season.
That's true. I can understand that then, but it is what it is.
I do think it's a toss-up between Notre Dame and Texas, for sure. Because, honestly, in my opinion, Texas is overrated. Come on. Isaiah Bond, I don't even know why he was a 5-star transfer.
Look, Texas as a school and as a culture is, it's a bunch of, and as a city too.
They have a bad culture.
It's California kids with buttloads of money, or California culture, that's taking like the theme of Texas almost, right? I grew up in West LA where, a lot of people, have a good amount of money. They can go to whatever school they want later on, right? Just because of the connections that they have. And I have some friends from my elementary school that are going to TU now, and they're LA, they're California, right? And they're gonna fit right in because that whole school is California. They're not tough there. That's just that kind of thinking that they have, and they have this whole theme of Texas. They wear their cowboy hats, but what's his face? Lil Nas X wears cowboy hats too. So we all know where he goes.
I love the analogy
I think he'd fit in really, really well there. I just think that's their kind of culture, is they're not actually Texans.
Yeah, I feel like, to add more to that, just, with a story that my grandfather tells all the time to me, when I always bring up this topic, when he was in school, way back in the day, he actually went to Texas to watch Texas A&M and Texas play a football game.
Sorry, he was at the school?
He was here at Texas A&M, but he went to watch the game with his wife. But he tells me this all the time. He hates them with a passion because when he was there, treated really horribly. There's fights, there's people spitting at him, there's like people shoving him, calling him very bad names. But I feel like there's that standard that we've set or they've set, that hatred for each other is very much equal,
Yeah, but you can, it's hatred, but it's about like acting on it, right?
Right.
I feel like we don't act on it the way they do. Like we'll do horns down, whatever, but I can't imagine doing that. I would never spit on a Texas.
A&M fans, they're classy, they're more respectful than that. We don't act like that.
I'll beat them with class and I'll walk away. That's it. Not beat them physically, like in a game I'll beat them. Yeah.
Beat them mentally,
When you lose, treat everyone with respect.
For sure. And I feel like we have that great thing going on for our university, but for their university, I'm in social media a lot. That's kind of what I like to grow as a Banana account. I've had so many TU fans comment under my stuff or comment on another post, like replying to me, saying nasty things that were just like a no school, like a nobody school, and then we're gonna beat the hell out of y'all, like kind of playing on what we say to them. So the hatred is definitely there, and I feel like that, to tie it back to what we were initially talking about, like that rivalry is gonna be televised. It's gonna be probably the highest viewed game of the whole season, or at least the regular season.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
And I feel like that hatred is definitely a thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fight or two in the stadium, but I don't think we would start it. To be fair, you know.
Game without a fight.
Well, yeah, on the field too. You know, we got to fight for the win. But you know, the hatred is equally, but not in the fact that we act out on it. I feel like they definitely act out on that.
Recency bias is a big thing. I mean, I think people are forgetting 2 years ago, Texas went 5-7. Like, they've had one good season in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's too big to just forget about. I don't know if they're going to repeat that. They could, but they could not.
Well,
you just don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you and I were talking about, I think a couple weeks ago, was that Texas is in that kind of stage where it's almost like, I don't really know how to describe it. It's almost like a volcano. You know, they build until they erupt. Right.
Yeah.
So Texas, and I know this because I have friends that are swimming for Texas or playing water polo for Texas, right? And what they're doing is they're getting so much money right now. You keep seeing on social media, you know, Texas players get a Lamborghini, Texas players get this, get that, right? And that sounds all nice and well, but once they get one little thing, once one little, you know, championship happens, all that money's done because they finished rebuilding, right? Similar to what happened to Michigan this year. Michigan has spent so much money on football recently, and now that they won the championship, they're just gonna have to spend the next couple years
I
rebuilding.
mean, it paid off, though.
It did. No, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. What I am saying is that Texas is about a year, maybe 2 years behind Michigan.
It's a risky idea.
Right.
It's high risk, high reward.
So if we can beat them while they're in that building stage, then they won't have the ability to erupt, and they won't have gained anything from all that spending. I think that's the goal for our season. And that's not just a football thing, that's an all sports thing.
Honestly, I agree with you on that because if you look at what they're doing in this recruiting class, they're not doing a lot. Not as of right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong here, but I don't think they have a top 15 class right now. It might be 14 or so, but definitely not top 10.
They're doing a lot for their current guys.
Whereas you see A&M, they have a top 7 class, I think, top 8. So they definitely have a top 10 class, but like Texas, they're just pouring everything into winning now, and that's just so risky. Because if it doesn't pan out, your program is basically like ruined for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean that's what all colleges do in one way or another, right? Like they'll build up. I don't think it's even colleges doing that. I think businesses do that. I think NBA I think is a perfect example of it. You know, they'll get as much as they can for 1 year and really, really pray that it works. And if it doesn't, then you get the next couple years to rebuild.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna be an exciting season.
I mean, we all hope so, for sure. Mm-hmm. So next I kind of want to talk about the offense and kind of or just the team as a whole, who is going to be that impact player, besides Connor Wigman, of course, just on the team?
Yeah, I feel like our offensive line last year didn't really perform to expectations, but I'm really excited where they're going to be at. I'm a little bit biased. I have a buddy I went to high school with that plays on the O-line, Ruben Fowlery.
You went to high school?
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
That's like, okay.
Sorry to name drop. But yeah, he didn't play last year. He had an injury. Yeah. But I feel like there's going to be a large turnaround with offense this year, or at least O-line. So I'm really excited to have that protection of the quarterback because we had a horrible offensive line that would let people by and injure our quarterback, and they would have too much time under pressure, and it didn't really turn out that well. But I'm really excited that they get the opportunity to perform to expectations this year. Mm-hmm. So I'm really actually hoping for O-line to do phenomenally better.
Yeah, I think last season it was against Tennessee. I think we were on a 4th and 1, and we were going to do a run. Max Johnson takes the snap, and one of our linemen steps on his foot, and he falls down, so we fail to convert the 4th down. Like, that was just so embarrassing to watch. Like, I was watching a video the other day, like, top 10 worst plays of the 2024 college football season, or 2023, and that play was on there, and I was like, how did we let this happen?
Yeah.
So I do think the offensive line is going to take a big leap forward, but for me, I think the impact player, other than Connor Wigman, has got to be Nick Scorton.
Oh, for sure.
That guy is just a beast. I mean, he led the Big Ten in sacks. I mean, that's no easy thing to do. He's a Bryan native, so, like, obviously this is, I assume this has kind of been his dream since he was a kid to come play at A&M. And I just think he's absolutely going to tear it up. I mean, I'm not sure if you were at the spring game.
I was not. I think I was at baseball.
I was there with Ren, and he was tearing it up. Like, his spin move is insane. Like, he was getting right past our guys. And, like, that's hard to do against a D1 lineman. He just made it look so easy. Like, you could see the fear on Connor Whitman's face when he got close to him. So, like, I just think he's going to be that cornerstone in our defense.
I mean, I'm really excited for what defense is because we're very defensive focused this year. Hiring obviously a defensive head coach, or at least a defensive-minded head coach, really is different from previous head coaches that we've had over the past millennia or whatever. So it's really going to be interesting, just like with the transfers that came in and the recruits that are coming in, and just like our overall past with our defensive players. I feel like defense is definitely going to be one of our strong points this year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we're top 10 defensive-wise.
I mean, we have statistically, a lot of people don't realize this, but we have the best defense in the SEC, which is kind of crazy because, like, I'm not trying to throw shade out there or anything, but our defensive backs weren't very great. I mean, we were always giving up big pass plays. I remember, like, a 70-yard touchdown to Jermaine Burton against Alabama, and I was just like, what are we doing, man?
Right.
But, like, we completely rebuilt that DB room. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
I believe we have one starter that was playing last season, Tyreek Chappelle. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be exciting to see this defense in the upcoming season.
Yeah. It's kind of unfortunate because one of my favorite players, or at least DBs, graduated last year, Jalen Jones. I think he's now on the Colts.
He's on the Colts, yeah. He's a starter, so he's still.
He was phenomenal playing for us, but I mean, you know, there's been instances where there's holes within all of our games for DBs, and it's going to be interesting to see the turnaround, which is with the defensive room, and the whole staff was replaced, so it's going to be really interesting. That's why it's really hard to predict what our season's going to look like. But I'm super excited for this season. I mean, defensive-wise, offensive-wise, even special teams, you know. Hopefully bring back that 12th man kickoff or something.
We didn't
So cool.
even have a special teams coordinator last year. Like, that's actually insane.
Is that a fact? Is that real?
That's a fact.
Wow, that's interesting.
We did not have a special teams coordinator, which is actually insane to me. I mean, I bet us as fans, at least me, I was always wondering why we were giving up these big kick returns, or why our kicker, like, you know, this is no secret, he couldn't make clutch field goals. Against Ole Miss, like a 30-yard field goal, and he missed it. But, like, it makes so much more sense now, realizing that we didn't have anyone teaching him what to do or helping him out.
Right.
That's a shocker for the amount of money that A&M's a rich school.
Got the oil money.
Because Jimbo thought he could do everything by himself.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, knowing, you know, you're a senior, you've been here longer than us, and obviously you've been to the games. So knowing what you know and seeing A&M and all of its glory and all of its not glory, if you could pick one team that's on our schedule to play A&M, like just that you would love to watch, what would you pick?
That aren't on our schedule?
Yeah.
Ooh, I actually like that question a lot.
Let's say here at Coffee, and not like a complete beatdown, but a game that you would just be really interested in watching.
You look like you want to say it.
Absolutely.
Go
I
ahead.
say either Ole Miss or Oregon, just because they took our players. I would like to see us kick their asses. And
Oregon would be
really show them why they would regret leaving A&M. That's me personally.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I like that. I guess Oregon, you know, one of our top players went to Oregon, so it's definitely heart-wrenching to see that happen. But, you know, that's the way of the wind, you know. It's what he wanted. I would love to play Alabama. I would love to play Alabama. I feel like we had that game with them, I think it was 2021.
Yeah.
That was the most exciting game I've ever been to in my life.
That was one of the best nights of my life, I'll be honest.
I was on the third deck. Somehow made it to first deck. Didn't get on the field, but just like the energy and just, oh my gosh, it was a super fun game to watch and be there.
Were you at the LSU game in 22?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you rush for that game?
And I think I was still on third deck. So
Dude.
yeah, no. This year I'm like at first or second deck. I'll be pulling with a bunch of like a large group of 10 people. So either first or second, either way.
You know, a game I'd love to see. You guys might be shocked with this, but Arizona.
Arizona.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, so I think, you know, they're not as good of a team as Bama or Oregon, like you guys said, but like it would be fun to watch. First of all, we would win that one, so that would make it a little bit fun. But like,
So
just think for a second about like the kind of craziness that those students have, right? Like imagine playing there and beating them.
Okay, yeah.
How cool would that be?
That'd be interesting.
Like you said, we played this game at Kyle Field, though.
But now I'm saying the opposite, right? Because I just started thinking and I completely was being hypocritical. I don't know. I was just thinking about.
He really called you out.
I
think you're under the bus right
But
there.
no, I was at an Arizona game last night. I just remember how crazy they were. And I just think it would be interesting to like see that craziness from a team of crazy students, and then just watch that. I would also love to be at a game on Halloween.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think we all know he's going to be one on Halloween.
Hey, you never know.
Hot dog for
You
sure.
never know. You never know. Could change it up.
What game is Halloween this year?
I think the closest game to Halloween is the LSU game.
Because it's always Halloween weekend. It's like Halloween weekend, right?
I think it's the LSU
Yeah.
game. It's maybe October 25th or 26th.
Is that here?
It's here, yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
So definitely people will be dressing up for that game.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for banana, I guess. No, I think this year I will be traveling to one game. My expectations are Florida. So I'm really excited to be there at a different field. Last year I went to LSU. Honestly, it wasn't that fun, to be honest. It was like an afternoon game. You know, you hear about LSU. You hear about LSU and you hear about like, you know, that's the place to be at game day. But it was the afternoon and just energy wasn't there. I feel like Kyle Field's way beyond them.
So what if you go to Florida and you see a Florida fan in a banana suit? What are you doing?
I mean, I have to hug him, you know?
You have to hug him.
Yeah, that's my brother.
It's the banana love, dude.
Well, it's also the A&M love. I'm not going to like fight. Yeah, I mean, it's the A&M love. We got to show them respect. We're at their turf too. Show them what the Aggies are about.
What if you see an A&M fan in an orange costume?
I think, let me change it up. What if I saw someone in a gorilla chasing me? That would be scary.
That would be.
That would be scary.
So if someone, like, let's say you're at Halloween, right? Not Halloween. I'm sorry. Not a Halloween game. You're doing your thing like you always do. You're performing, and some guy comes sprinting towards you in a full-blown gorilla suit.
I think either I'm gonna have a heart attack and pass out, or just like run away and not come back. You know. I invite anyone who's listening to this podcast right now to show up at a gorilla costume. That'd be absolutely hilarious. I've been planning that for over a year now.
Fight of a century.
Maybe. You know, if they throw hands, I might just. You know, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but
You
I'll
have
probably
to
just.
defend yourself.
Exactly, mutual combat. That's a Texas thing. So, that'll be interesting. I'd love to see someone do that though. I've been playing that for a year now.
That'd be sick.
So I was just wondering, what do y'all think? Like, are the expectations for the majority of the fans under first-year head coach Mike Elko?
For the fans, I feel like we're really optimistic about him. I hear it all the time with just like the media, the players, you know, the staff, and either just generic fans of ours. Just like really optimistic about what he can do. It is interesting, like I said, repeated this so many times. You know, it's a new program basically. This is not the same program as last year. It's a brand new staff and brand new environment, brand new locker room, just different players. So I feel like it's definitely be a change, but with the way it's looking right now, everyone's really optimistic about what he can do and what he will do within the next few years. So, what do you gotta say about it?
I don't know anything.
You don't know anything?
No, I genuinely don't.
I mean, what do you think? Like, just what are your expectations for the upcoming football season?
Like in all seriousness, like I need to start following A&M football more. You know, I came here from out of state.
Yeah.
But what I will say is like, I think that at least from like an athletic perspective, right? The A&M spirit, like it goes through a lot of people, and I think that when someone new comes in, right, a new coach, new staff, whatever, at a lot of other schools they'd be disappointed in that, right?
Yeah.
But I think even if we had, and I know it wasn't necessarily perfect, but even if we had great staff before and then we get somebody new, I think just being the fan base that we are, we're gonna show love and we're gonna show excitement, just like you said earlier, right? So I think that's what's gonna happen. Is like we're gonna give the new guys everything we got and just hope for the best.
Yeah, undefeated natty champs is my prediction.
No, but in all seriousness, like think about any other school if they were to get like new staffing after a good one leaves or a bad one leaves. They'd be pissed.
That's the thing, though. We brought in so many good guys. I mean, Mike
Right.
Elko, what did he lead Duke to 9 wins? I mean, Duke is not a good football program. I mean,
It's not
they're not
Yeah.
known for that. And then also we brought in Colin Klein, one of the greatest offensive coordinators in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in Jay Bateman, who did solid work at Florida's defense. And then we brought in Hallman Wiggins, who produced guys like Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith. Like, this could be a really good team.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, like, expectations, I could see 9 or 10 wins. Like, realistically, from an outside perspective, this is a good schedule for us.
Yeah.
All of our tough games are at home. Our toughest game away is probably Florida, just because, it's in the swamp.
Is Missouri here?
Yeah, Missouri's
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
So, I think realistically we could get 9 wins.
Yeah, it is definitely possible. If we do get 9 wins, that could throw us in the name of like championship tournament if we perform well enough. But even with 10 wins, I mean, that's even more possible. I feel like with the 12th man, and just the fans in general, we're gonna show in like every single game that's at home. So I feel like our home field advantage too is gonna definitely skyrocket us and the records for that wise. And then
Well, everyone knows A&M is that home field like craziness school.
for sure, NCAA the football game,
Yeah,
they put
exactly.
us number 1.
Yeah.
Definitely an ego boost for sure. But yeah, we're definitely going to show out. So definitely home field advantage is going to be huge and crucial, especially for the most difficult games. Florida is definitely one of our most tough games. But I feel like we could definitely reach 10 to 9 wins, maybe even 11.
If we get 10 wins, we're an automatic bid for the playoff. I was talking to a player the other day. I think I'm not going to name drop because I don't want to get in trouble or anything like that. But he was telling me that like they were surprised they won a single game last season just because of the coaching. They were saying they won
That's
games
crazy.
purely
Wow.
off talent alone. That's how insane it is.
Yeah.
That's how bad the coaching was. And like this new coaching change is just going to be such a huge leap for us.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, so do you think that A&M is the kind of place where the coach doesn't matter as much? Because I feel like I've heard people say, especially when people were talking about like Nick Saban a lot, that the coach is everything, right? So do you think that the players matter more or the coach matters more?
It's a mix of both, honestly, but like if you have amazing players based on only their high school talent alone, they can win some football games.
Right.
But if you want to win a lot of games, you want to win the big games,
Yeah.
a good coach is vital to that. If you don't have a good coach, you're not winning any important games.
You definitely need strategy when it comes to football. And not even just strategy. You need someone who can lead a team like a coach can. Because that locker room environment is so crucial. If you have guys bickering at each other, fighting each other, you're not going to have
That's a huge aspect.
you're not going to have a good team.
Yeah.
Like you can have A+ roster, but if your coaches don't direct the team like they're supposed to do, I mean, might as well throw your season out the window. And I feel like we've definitely made that change with Jimbo. So glad he's gone, just because like the whole environment was out of whack, to be honest.
Yeah.
He pushed really hard to get that #1 recruiting class, but he didn't really care as to who he's recruiting. He just wanted the number.
There were a lot of guys on that team who weren't great people. They got kicked off the team, and that hurt the team as a whole because when guys are getting kicked off, like that's demotivating.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said. I guess less about that, but more about like the interactions with each other. Like team chemistry is such an overlooked thing, right? And like I swam for years and years and years, and now I'm playing water polo again, and just like the difference in how I need to act for other people makes me realize so much more how in a team sport that matters. So then you think about like, forget a little water polo team, but an SEC football team. If we can't have a good coach and we can't have good team chemistry, there's no chance in hell that we're getting anywhere,
Exactly.
right? Because especially football, where there's almost no such thing as a single player doing everything.
Right, and even like with other sports too, not just water polo or football. Like even with baseball, we had a good chemistry with the team last year, or I guess this past season, and that led us to the World Series. You know, even though the coaching wasn't 100% there because he already had his foot out the door, to be honest. But that direction that chemistry went was so crucial to us excelling that year. We had talent. We didn't have the #1 talent. We had great team. Great teamwork, yes, great chemistry, and we had decent coaches that set us that direction.
You know who was great at that was our basketball team last year.
Absolutely.
So like Wade Taylor especially, it was insane how they would like talk to each other. If you watch his post game or his interviews, he would just talk about that all the time. He would always talk about his teammates like through and through, and it just made me think of like we keep saying, it's like the Aggie spirit. Like I think that's where our success with, like you said, baseball came from this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, A&M sports, we're all about chemistry here. Trying to build or expand on our name as a school that you can go to and you can have lifelong friends. Have that chemistry, have the Aggie ring, which gives you the alumni whole millions of people in the alumni.
Aggie network is crazy.
It's really important to us as a school, but I think even more with like teams and school sports is just having that that teamwork together. It's really, really, really important, and especially the new coach this year. I think that's one of his crucial points that he has for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of legacy do you think Elko is trying to leave at A&M?
I think he's trying to build a foundation here, like a very strong one. As far as what he's going to do with this whole time he's here, I have no idea. Hopefully, national championship. But I definitely think he's going to build a strong foundation for us to keep on excelling under his name. But yeah, that foundation is definitely strong. He's already recruiting really great people. Already brought in really great people, and I'm really optimistic about what he's going to do, to be honest. Unlike Jimbo,
Yeah, I think Elko is just trying to build a football program that people see, that players see, and they're like, I want to go play for A&M. I believe it was Josh Page just a couple of days ago. He said over the next 3 or 4 years, A&M is going to be a top 10 football program.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot, but Elko is just such a huge jump from Jimbo, culture-wise. Elko is trying to rebuild the culture at A&M that Jimbo couldn't.
I think for incoming athletes too, like recruits in their juniors, senior years of even sophomore years of high school, for the really good ones, like it's not just A&M's not just that school for like really good players in Texas. Like it's becoming a well-known school for out-of-staters, maybe even internationally.
Yeah,
for recruits.
I agree. I mean, we already have, I think, 3 of the top 5 football players from Cali.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's amazing.
California would be, and I think it's great that they're coming from there. I never would have expected it. Like the culture difference between A&M and really anywhere in California is so completely different. I think it's better here, but that's what's so great to see, because I feel like we just wouldn't have that a couple of years ago. Like A&M for all athletes across the board is becoming like that school to go to in a great way.
Yeah, for sure.
When I think of California, I think of like baseball and softball. I don't really see it that much as football, but I mean we have the top recruits there. So they're definitely not bums. They're definitely decent players who you can definitely make an impact on this team. I would love to see more impact on Texas and Florida. At least those 2 states are really just high on my list as like football recruits. But I definitely think over time, once we start playing these crucial games for us, like Notre Dame, like Florida, like Texas, I think we're definitely gonna have a lot of recruitment players come in here and just absolutely change this program. Full 180.
Well, the other thing just about California recruits too, and really just recruits in that whole area is like, when you look at the schools in California, in terms of football, there's like, for relevancy, there's USC and UCLA, kind of. Right? Like I wouldn't consider Stanford or Berkeley super relevant for football-wise. And then you consider the fact that they're not in the Pac-12 anymore, that they're all spread apart. So with all those things considered, really good California football players probably don't want to stay in California.
Yeah.
If Berkeley, if UCLA, if Stanford, if USC were these beautiful football destinations, like of course they would stay. And historically they're better than they are now, but why would they want to stay? So I think that's going to be something that if we make the right moves, we can really, really profit off that.
I think definitely the most tempting in Cali would definitely be USC, but even they have been kind of lackluster these past couple of years. I mean, they had the best quarterback in college football over the past 3 years, and they got 7 wins last season. I mean,
it's just not a desirable place to be anymore. Like just in terms of living. I don't really think people see it as what it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like I said, if we can, one of the recruits, like that was one of his main choices was USC, and he chose A&M over USC.
Noah McHale, linebacker. That was one of his choices. I believe it was A&M, USC, and Oregon.
Right.
Those were his top choices.
And he's from California.
Yeah.
Like in one of his recruit pictures, he's holding the California flag. right? And that's amazing. But if he's repping that in Texas, that's a great sign. And I really like that. I think that others could follow him if we do things right.
You know, I kind of want to talk about the offense a little bit. Like, what do you think this offense will look like different with Colin Klein, you know, at the helm now?
Definitely changed from last year, or at least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Whole new staff. It's hard to predict anything with a whole new staff. I mean, you can only, you know, pray and hope that it's going to be changing. But I mean, these are just different coaches that I've never really looked into. But I mean, just talking to my friend Ruben and just like feeling out the social media and feeling out whatever everyone has to say, it's definitely be a change. I definitely think we're going to be more productive, at least for offense. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just hopeful that we get to be there and have good competition. And I'm super excited for this year.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Klein, I believe he led Kansas State to like a top 15 offense, one of the top offenses in the Big 12. And that's crazy because talent-wise, they had one of the worst rosters in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy that he took a roster with not a lot of talent, let him be one of the best offenses. So imagine what he can do with Connor Wigman, Noah Thomas, Moose Muhammad, Donovan Green, Ruben Owens. All these guys have solid talent. So imagine what he could do with these guys in a program that gives him so many resources, so much access, just so much funding, variability. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, it's kind of poetic, you know. He loses the Heisman to Johnny Manziel. And years later, he comes and he teaches at A&M. So, I mean, I think he's definitely, as well as Elko, is trying to leave a legacy here. And I believe that if he can lead us to a top 15 offense, we have a solid shot at making a deep run in the playoff.
Yeah, I think so, too. And it's really interesting just because they have coaches coming from everywhere. Like coaches that, weren't really in the running for at least playoff plays, or at least programs where you don't think of like a football school. You got Mike Elko, Duke. When I think of Duke, I think of basketball. Yeah. I don't think of football. But he has great coaching style. I mean, he had not that well of a roster, but he coached the heck out of them. Yeah. And I believe since we do have that roster and we have the funds to like that whole that whole practice facility that we have, if he utilizes it correctly and he utilizes our players correctly, dude, he's going to blow the waters out. I have full faith in every one of them.
I think this year, just overall, especially offensively, is like, it's just opportunity. Like, all across the board, A&M has so much opportunity to do crazy things. And it's going to be awesome, like, especially as freshmen, to see that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you more than anybody else. I don't know if anybody's a bigger A&M fan than you. I really have no clue. Like, this guy, I started talking to him because I needed to find a roommate, right? And I'm like, well, now I'm going to know everything.
It's going to talk your ear off.
Yeah, no, he showed me, I made a joke. I was like, you're probably born with an A&M shirt on. And he shows me a picture of him, I think a day old, with an A&M shirt on.
No way. That's crazy. That's funny.
I think that this is the perfect time for especially Caden to see A&M like in his freshman year. And I'm excited for any freshman and any student for that matter.
Honestly, it's just so exciting as freshmen because it feels like all of our teams are going to be pretty good for the next couple of years.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a baseball team who, one run away from the Natty. We have a football team who I think has a solid future under Coach Elko. And we have a basketball team who is, consistently making the tourney. Mm-hmm. And they're winning games, I just think for us freshmen, it's exciting to be able to see these teams over the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, what I do as a person, or like as a banana man, I go to every event. I also just want to mention for the other people, volleyball, Jamie Morrison, he's an Olympic coach.
Yeah.
He coached in the Olympics. He's excelling this program. This is his second season. You have softball, that whole coaching program, insane. Just everyone there is so expert, and they're really nice people. Soccer, they're constantly improving every year. To expand, you definitely, freshmen, is now to enjoy sports, Yeah. You have all these different sports. You might not know anything about them. Go to the games. I promise you'll have so much fun because we're going to be winning.
I was just about to say something about that. It's like, I was talking to one of my roommates, Josh, about this yesterday. He's like, as a school, overall, A&M sports are incredible. Like the sports that aren't necessarily the ones that you go to watch, right? Like A&M track and field is insane, right? A&M swimming, we have Olympians right now. Like you just said, we have an Olympic coach. Tennis is crazy. Softball is crazy. Like, I think that's an awesome thing to take advantage of, right? And like, we should go watch. And I'm happy that we can see a banana there too, right? So I think there's just something to be said about that, right? Like, there's a lot of schools. I think Michigan's the best example of it, especially this last year. Great football, not too much anywhere else, right?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to interrupt you or anything, but I agree.
No, go ahead.
We're so good in so many sports. I mean, even the smaller sports. I mean, you got archery. We're like 23-time champions. I mean, like
Yeah, someone just won like an Olympic gold
Yeah.
medal from A&M.
we're like 23-time national champions. I believe we just won another natty. And even the super small sports. That's just, I mean, equestrian. Like,
Yeah.
we're amazing at just
Yeah.
literally every sport.
They actually made a run for the national championship, so good for
I know,
them.
yeah,
Um,
it's awesome. I mean, literally whatever sport you're watching at A&M, you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show that we have a sports culture, right? Like, it's a sports-based culture, and that's where the love for just Aggie athletics comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to games, even water polo. You know, you got to go to games.
Listen,
Pack the net.
guys in speedos.
Pack the net. Let's go.
Water polo, like, is fun. I'm not gonna lie. It
Yeah.
is a fun sport to play.
I've never played it. I've watched it once or twice. Definitely, I've learned so much just watching the whole, like every sport I've been to. I didn't know too much about like track and field. I didn't know too much about softball other than like, it's kind of like baseball, you know?
Right.
That's where my mindset was. Didn't know much about tennis. Didn't know much about golf. Go to the games, go to their matches, go to whatever.
sure.
You'll learn so much, and the best part is, you'll see us winning. Like,
Well, and you never know who you're gonna meet either. right?
exactly.
So many cool people. I think the real question is like, are we gonna see at a water polo game the banana in a speedo?
In a speedo, that's
In a
crazy.
speedo, over the costume.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a possibility. I'll try anything once, you know.
Okay. just wanted to check.
They like that in the back. That's definitely be like a clip right there, huh?
It's going on the Instagram.
I'll post it first, don't worry.
So I just wanted to go back to football a little bit. You know, like we had a lot of guys enter the transfer portal after Jimbo left, obviously, and we had a lot of guys coming too. So I just wanted, to talk about, did we gain more than we lost, or vice versa?
We definitely gained more. I mean, it's not just the coaches or the players that have left or gone wherever they want to go. It's a whole new environment, you know. I live by a saying, just like with my professional career and like school career and just like with everything, you know, you are what your environment is. What you're surrounded by is what you're going to be. If you're going to be surrounded by people who are, feel sorry for themselves and just poor and just bad mindset, then you're going to have that mindset.
Yeah.
But if you surround yourself with people who actually want to make a difference, people who are kind and loyal, that's what you are going to be too. And I feel like with Coach Elko and all the other sports, fantastic. They have a great environment that they're building, and that's so crucial,
Purely player-wise, I feel like we did gain more than we lost. Obviously, guys like Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, like those hurt as a team. But then when you bring in guys like Nick Scorton, Cassius Howell, Cyrus Allen, Jabray Barber has been a solid, leader. I feel like these guys are kind of shaping the future of this team as well. I just feel like it could have been a lot worse for us. Like, I believe we had the number 4 transfer class, and that's pretty crazy, considering it was a brand new head coach. And I know a lot of guys are right behind Coach Elko. They stand for him, whereas they didn't do that for Jimbo.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really fun to look back on is once our players started to leave, everyone on the internet was just making fun of us. Like, oh, look, another A&M person's leaving. Oh, look, another one. But over time, we started getting those people back and better players. So it's interesting to see, think back, oh, we were that school they're making fun of. All their players are leaving. But look who's all back, all amazing players.
I think that's just like a human thing. Like you're not going to point out the good.
Yeah.
You're going to
Right.
point out the bad. You don't talk about when somebody didn't cut you off when you're driving. You talk about when somebody did cut you off.
Right.
So it's just nobody talks about the good, which is really annoying. But at the same time, they're going to be saying all that stuff, and then once we do start doing really well, we're going to have all those tweets saved and everything. We're keeping the receipts.
That's what Josh Faith does. He keeps
Yeah.
the receipts.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to wrap up football questions a little bit. Who do y'all think our biggest offensive weapon will be?
Connor Wayman. I definitely think he has the potential to take us far. Really excited to see what he has.
I know you don't know football too much, but like if you had to pick a player,
Connor Wayman.
Connor Wigman, are you just
Copycat.
Right,
This guy.
100%.
This guy.
for me?
Ask me about basketball. I know that.
For me, with our new receiver coach, Holman Wiggins, he's really solid. I think that Noah Thomas could take a huge.
That's a good one
leap.
too.
I mean, what's he like 6'4", 6'5"? I mean, he's a pretty big guy. I mean, he reminds me of Mike Evans a lot in college. He's that guy that can go up and make big catches. I feel like with this new offense, he can make a big leap forward. I believe some people are saying that he could be one of the best weapons in the SEC, and I agree fully with that. I think that he will be an X factor for Texas A&M in the upcoming seasons.
Yeah. It's hard to predict the preseason. We can only show what we have.
Yeah,
So once that regular season starts, I feel like our star players are really going to show.
A&M, historically they've produced some good receivers. You got guys in the NFL right now like Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Josh Reynolds. These guys are all solid, and I think that makes some receivers want to come play for A&M.
For sure.
And so now, kind of straying away from football a little bit, I wanted to just get a couple questions in about the baseball season. So, what do y'all think are these expectations for the upcoming baseball season? I mean, coming off a natty loss, barely. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think's going to happen next season?
So this season really hurt. We had a phenomenal run. I mean, this was like my first time actually being invested in baseball.
Me too.
I always see my dad on the couch watching baseball asleep, but this is the actual first time that I've been to games and series and seeing the players just win. So much fun. I even went all the way to Omaha to watch us, unfortunately, lose. The big O word. But I mean, as soon as 24 hours later, we had our whole staff just gone. It really hurt, and you see players all over Twitter and whatnot just commenting about how bad it was, and there's rumors going out with Coach Sloss, just the bad he was, his mindset, what he's done with players and parents and whatever. Definitely a right fit for Texas, to be honest. But to get one of our staff members back, a beloved staff member back, and to have new coaches, some of our players are returning. It's going to be interesting to watch. I'm really hopeful that we can produce what we did last year. Going to be difficult, but I believe that it's possible under the right foundation, and I'm super excited to go back and just watch a few games and be out there again.
I came to one home A&M game last year. That was Rhode Island, so it wasn't exactly a high place, But I remember, when we won our regionals, me and my dad went to San Antonio, and I was like, Dad, can we go to the Super Regionals? And he's like, hell no, we just spent a ton of money. I was like, all right, what if we make the finals? And he's like, I'll think about it. So, fast forward a week or two later, we're watching the Florida game, Oceanbeck gets that final out, and I'm just like, Dad, let's get the tickets. And he buys the tickets, and we take that 14, 15-hour drive to Omaha. And honestly, even though we lost, it was definitely one of the best experiences I've had.
No, for sure.
There's not a lot of people who've gotten to witness A&M even playing a natty in any sport recently. So that's just an awesome feeling, an awesome experience, and appreciate my dad for that. It meant a lot.
People always say a silver medal is horrible. It's not.
It's not.
It really isn't. Right? You wouldn't go to Usain Bolt when he doesn't win first place, he takes second. That's horrible.
You say congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Silver is good. Second place is great. You always hear first to lose, but who are you going to hear that from? The person that took first? No, you hear it from the people way back in fifth, sixth place, right? I think that there's two ways to look at this season. It's either like you said, we lost a lot of staff, we lost a lot of people. And just kind of put your head down and be upset about it and go, why not? But you can also look at it as we did extremely well, and maybe not this year, but very soon in the future we can build off that, right? We can go take that shot again, and if we take second, fine, we'll go for it again and again.
Exactly.
And again. Yeah.
No, kind of want to address the elephant in the room. What were your initial reactions when Coach Schloss announced he was leaving and none of our players started hitting the portal?
I mean, I understood the whole transfer portal because like all of our starters were in the transfer portal. That was just because like they didn't have a coach, so they hadn't. I mean,
they were trying to protect themselves.
They needed a crutch, and that's fine. Wasn't really emotional about that. I was definitely emotional seeing Coach Slosh leave in the fashion that he did.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he literally lied to us the night before.
Within 24 hours, he said, like, I'm here to stay.
He said it so confidently, like he was insulted
know.
when they would ask the question.
It was like a bad breakup,
Yeah. Well, like, just take it like a man,
He definitely dumped us. Like, it was.
You don't need to lie about it. Like, if you're gonna leave, just admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. He's got to be PR, But just the fashion he did, it was really nasty. He didn't really give us like an official goodbye.
He didn't give the players an official goodbye.
Exactly. And there's like rumors swirling around that he was talking to like one player about, hey, come with me. I'm going over here.
Yeah, I believe Texas offered Rehoboth $1 million to go play.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but it definitely hurt when he did leave,
And then also he texted Sadeo and, he asked him to come with him, and Sadeo was like, oh no, like what?
So it's just like, he and the athletic director at TU, they're close. They're good friends, and it was so quick. The turnaround was like, it was fast.
Like, how do you go from almost winning a natty to leaving that team the very next day, not telling any of your players? Like that hurts for the players. Like they trust this guy, and then he just abandons them without even saying a word.
He did the same thing at TCU, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. To contextualize it, he ghosted us. He really ghosted us. I mean,
then he tries to take our players, and they're just like, bro, like, no, he really just abandoned us.
You're comparing it to a breakup, right? And there's two people after a breakup. There's the guy that sits down and cries, and there's the guy that takes it as, I'm going to go work out and prove to you that I was always better, right?
Right.
So I think we're going to look at it the same way.
I love this.
Yeah, we can sit around and cry, or we can take it as, we had a great run.
Yeah.
Because we did. A silver medal is a great medal.
Especially when you have a coach that didn't really care about winning.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So take it as a win, build off it, have a good time, and just go for it next year.
Obviously we don't like coaches who go by Jim here at A&M.
I guess not.
It's not a great name to have.
I don't know if y'all saw what Travis Chestnut was saying, but apparently Coach Schloss was telling him like he was terrible. Like he was just straight up telling Travis Chestnut he wasn't good. Like Travis Chestnut was like warming up to bat, and Schloss told him, "You're not gonna get a hit anyways." And that's just such like a terrible thing to say to one of your players, because like you need these guys to have confidence to go up to hit, and you're just telling them, "I don't believe in you."
Yeah.
Like what kind of coach does that to your own player?
And just imagine what our whole season would be if we had a coach that wasn't 1 foot out the door already.
We could have won.
I definitely believe we would have done better than just win. We could have swept it.
He had almost like, it's almost like senioritis, like if you're gonna leave, you're not gonna try as hard.
Exactly.
You're not gonna care.
I think we all went through that. I know I went through that last year.
Yeah, I missed a couple of days of school.
Yeah, high school, I definitely skipped like every class when I was a senior. Like I was a bad student.
I knew where I was going, and I was happy with it.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not saying I don't blame him, because I absolutely do blame him. But like, at least finish out strong. Like when people are counting for you, just like as a human.
Like, wouldn't you want to be able to say, yeah, I won a natty? Like, why would you not try? Is it because deep down you're going to Texas, so you don't want to win?
Well, because regardless of what team you're representing, a win is a win.
Yeah, and that goes down in your resume.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that the fact that he was going to Texas played effect into like him wanting to win or not?
That's what I was saying just now. Like I feel like that had to be a factor, just them being rivals. And he wouldn't want A&M to have that.
Right.
Okay, I don't think he was, because I think you're saying that he was almost throwing it.
I don't think he was throwing it. I just think he genuinely did not care.
I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think because it was Texas though. I think it's just because it was a different school and not.
Yeah, I don't think
sure.
I don't think any coach would actually try to throw away a natty, but I think generally, like you were saying, senioritis, he didn't care.
Yeah.
Because he knew he was leaving. So why does it matter?
It's also like blatantly throwing a game would be I mean, you could get close to
That would be an
lawsuits
investigation.
with
That would be an
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah. Well, there was an investigation, no? I don't know if it's finished or
Well,
not.
there was an investigation because he was trying to get players to leave, and so that's tampering. Like you can't offer players a place at your school if they're not in the portal.
But that's not that big. But throwing something would be out of this world, just considering like all the money that goes through it and all the scholarships that go through it, and you could, I don't know what you could sue for, but it could be a lot. So I don't think he was throwing it. I don't think he'd be stupid enough to do that. But yeah.
Hey, you never know. The owner of Krispy Kreme blew up his own building. So it's a possibility. I don't think it's true 100%, but there could be a way. Like he might have been incentivized to not win. I don't know if that's true or not. There was definitely a discussion about it, but man, I just wish we would have finished strong.
Yeah.
Well, I think what matters is that we know the team is good.
They're always going to be good. I mean, our baseball team, they've been solid. I mean, over the past couple of years, our 2022 World Series run, that was pretty good too.
Well, we have a solid team. We just need to shape it the right way with a good coach, and then we're set.
We have solid returning players. We got Jay Sloppy returning, Caden Kent. I mean, like these Caden Sorrell. These guys are all solid players.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jackson Appel?
What?
Jackson Appel too?
No, he got drafted.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, we got Schott, one of our best hitters. He's coming back for his final year. I mean, this could. I feel like we could repeat this, but the question is, how can we do about that? Like, what mistakes can we fix from last year's season to kind of make sure we finish the job this time? I mean, obviously, we're talking about Coach Schloss, but what as players, like, what was our weakness in that World Series?
I think we're definitely a strong team, like overall. The one thing I wish had a little bit better was just like a little bit more, I would say pitching. We had some phenomenal pitchers, don't get me wrong, but there's just some instances just like coming into games, like you can tell like some of them weren't confident, and it definitely affected some games that we did lose over the like regular season. But I would like to see more pitching. Of course, like you'd see rosters, like half the rosters is pitching, But I would like to see a little bit better turnaround with pitching because I know we lost quite a few players there. And recruiting, I definitely emphasize recruiting. We've lost a lot of players to the draft too. But the team as a whole, I think is strong. I think we still have a run for another, title, hopefully soon.
I think we're also forgetting, we're trying to find something that they needed to improve upon, but we're also playing against Tennessee, right? I almost like Tennessee just because they're the real UT, like as a school. But they like in all fairness to them, they were great this year.
They were.
I don't think
phenomenal.
I honestly don't think we did much wrong. They were just better.
Well, obviously as a team, there's always going to be a weakness.
That's true.
And
but
so,
they did really well.
I mean, I
have nothing to say
They
about
had 5 hitters with over 20 home runs.
Yeah.
That's like unheard of.
Yeah.
So they were an insane team.
Yeah.
But there will, as a team, there will always be something you can improve upon.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it's got to be our timely hits. And
that's true too.
In Tennessee, against them in that final game, we had guys on base. We were getting on base. We just could not bring a lot of guys home in those first couple of innings.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for me is the biggest thing because we have good pitching with guys like Prager, Caden Wilson, I think is returning. I forgot his name. Lampkin's returning as well. Those are all solid pitchers, so I think we do have a good shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely did leave a lot of players stranded on the bases this year. And I just really hope that we get to improve our hitting numbers too, because the postseason hitting numbers were okay. We definitely could do better. And I'm still excited for the season to come. I still think that playoffs are a possibility still.
Got anything you want to add, want to say before we sign off for the day?
I love the Aggie spirit. That's it. I'm so serious. Like especially, like I know I say this a lot. I say it to you a lot. Like being from out of state, the Aggie spirit is literally why I'm here, right? And like this is part of what makes the Aggie spirit the Aggie spirit.
Awesome.
Like you have guys like this, right? You have guys like this.
It's awesome.
Yeah, they're just like really expanding it and amplifying it. And I think we all have to amplify it.
A&M is literally just one big family. It's all love.
Yeah, it's like the good part of a frat.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, it's what a good frat says they are.
Without the hazing.
There you go.
Without the bad things of it all.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
The Aggie spirit is real, and for anyone that's not at A&M, the Aggie spirit is very, very much there, and like 1,000 times more than what anybody outside of the school thinks it is.
Yeah, I would like to add something to that. Definitely, like for A&M, being here for almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
My senior year, it hurts because
Yeah.
like you're surrounded by people who are just authentically themselves,
Yeah.
and there's always someone for someone. There's always people who enjoy going to games. So if you like going to games, you'll meet a big friend group there. If you don't like going to games, you can still go to tailgates. There's a big group of tailgates. In your classes, there's hundreds of people in your classes. So there's just definitely like different personality types that you might have, but I promise you, there's other people with the same personality types. Definitely be
It's
yourself.
the best school there is.
Exactly.
Yeah, and congratulations again on getting your ring.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, folks. Well, I think that's going to wrap things up for today. We just want to thank y'all for tuning in again. It means a lot to everyone, and we just want to thank again Banana Man. I mean, it means a lot that he could come here today. I mean, we just give a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. All 5 of you. 6 of you now.
Yeah, we just want to thank him and we want to thank y'all. Tune in again next Monday. We're going to be recording again. Not sure what we're going to talk about. We'll figure that out. But thank y'all for tuning in to Deep Dive Aggieland. Gig 'em.
Jig'em.